Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today's webinar. I, Bhupendra Kumbhare, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics. First of all, I pay my homage to Dr. Panjabrao Deshmukh, Founder President, Sri Shivaji Education Society, Amravati. Welcome everyone to our national webinar on superconductivity. Our today's speaker is Dr. Gajanan Mule, Head Department of Physics, Sant Gadge-Baba Amravati University, Amravati. May I now request to Professor N.D. Kodetkar to introduce our speaker.
This session's guest is Dr. Gajanan Mule sir. He is working as head of the Department of Physics, Sant Gadge-Baba Amravati University. He has done his MSc and PhD from Sant Gadge-Baba Amravati University's Department of Physics and also qualified exams like NET JRF, SET, DRDO SET, JEST and many more. He has been awarded with various prestigious awards including the Best Service Award from Sant Gadge-Baba Amravati University. His research interest is nonlinear optical properties of materials and optical biosensors. He has completed 5 research projects and 1 is ongoing. Under his guidance, 6 research students have been awarded PhD and 3 are working today. He has published over 250 research papers in international or national journals or conferences or workshops. So this is brief introduction of Dr. Gajanan Mule sir. I know that you all are waiting for his wonderful talk. Then may I now invite Dr. Gajanan Mule sir for his talk.
So the superconductivity was investigated, it was the first time it is observed in mercury in 1911 by Kamerlingh Onnes, and then so many properties of superconductivity were investigated, and so many interesting things came out. So we were just reviewing those interesting things or properties, mental observations about superconductivity. Okay, so regarding this experimental observations of superconductivity, so generally superconductivity is observed or it can be seen in those materials which have high resistivity in a normal state, and those materials become superconductor easily at a lower temperature. It is also observed that magnetic material destructs this superconductivity, and those materials have higher conductivity in a normal state at a room temperature, at a high temperature. They become superconductor at a lower temperature. So the critical temperature is lower as compared to the materials having high resistivity in a normal state. Again, it is not when the magnetic materials or at hot temperature magnetic materials become superconductor, but it cannot be told, or it cannot be said that whether the magnetic material will become superconductor or not. So we cannot guarantee that magnetic material will never become superconductor. But till it, the magnetic materials have not seen to be a superconductor. Okay, and few materials become superconductor at a very high applied pressure and a very low temperature. Again, we have seen the effect of magnetic field on superconducting state. So here we should keep in mind where we will always talk about the superconducting state and normal state. Superconducting state means it is a state in which the resistivity is almost zero. We can consider resistivity is almost zero, or conductivity is very large, up to, we can consider it is up almost infinite. Okay, it is very large, so we say it is a conducting state, means it is below critical temperature Tc. Critical temperature Tc is the temperature at which below which your material is superconducting state and above which it is in a normal state. Okay, normal state means it is in normal state means it has a room temperature, whatever the resistivity is very large and it shows all the properties. Okay, so here we have seen what is the effect of magnetic field on superconducting state. So we have seen the, as you apply, if you consider your material is in superconducting state just around critical temperature, and if you apply a magnetic field, so it disturbs superconductivity, your material become normal one. Again, if you are decreased temperature, then your material will become superconductor. If you again increase magnetic field, then it will become a normal one. It goes into the normal state. Okay, so it means that as you apply magnetic field, it disturbs superconductivity. Again, if you lower the temperature, then it will become superconductor. Means magnetic field lowers the critical temperature. So as temperature is magnetic field applied, and we are trying to make the material superconductor, so we have to lower the temperature than actual critical temperature without magnetic field. Okay, so with applied magnetic field, the critical temperature decreases, that your material become superconductor applied lower temperature, lower critical temperature. So we have seen this one. Again, interesting thing about the superconductors, we have seen it is a Meissner effect. So according to Meissner effect, as you apply magnetic field to the normal material, so the magnetic field lines passes through the normal state material. So materials in a normal state. So magnetic field lines passes through the material or the body when it is in a normal state. But as you cool down to make it a superconductor, so it is observed that magnetic field lines are expelled from the body, from that material. So the magnetic field lines cannot pass through the superconductor. So it is said to be a Meissner effect. It is said to be a Meissner effect. From this, and again we have seen it has nothing to do with the zero resistivity. Okay, so this property that is expelling magnetic field lines from the body, it is not related with the zero resistivity of the superconductor. From this one, we can say from Meissner effect, we can say the diamagnetism is as the magnetic field lines are expelling from the body or a superconducting body, then we can say the diamagnetism is a essential property of the superconducting state. Okay, so it has a negative electrical, it has negative magnetic susceptibility. Now, in last lecture, we said this Meissner effect. Now we shall see the other interesting properties of experimental observations about superconducting state. Here, in Meissner effect, let us consider you have cooled the body. You have cooled the body, yes, the superconducting body, to make it as a superconductor. Okay, so your material is a superconductor, and as you apply magnetic field, your material is in a superconductor at a particular temperature T below critical temperature Tc, and if you apply magnetic field, so slowly if you try to apply magnetic field, diamagnetism will develop in the material, that is magnetization, it will develop in the material, and as it reaches the critical magnetic field St, when your material is in a superconducting state at a temperature T below critical temperature Tc, You are applying magnetic field. You have just switch on the external magnetic field, and it is increases slowly. So the magnetization it will develop inside that inside that superconducting body. So it will increase magnetization will increase up to critical magnetic field, and after in that one you will see there will be a repelling of total. You can say there is a your magnetic field lines will repel from that body. Okay, magnetic field lines will repel from that body. Okay, so you are applying magnetic field. You are in this case you are applying magnetic field. Magnetization will develop. So certainly it will be a magnetization in opposite direction. So it will repel from the body. So magnetic field lines will not pass through the body. Again, you are increasing magnetic field. So again, the magnetization in reverse direction will develop. It will we increase magnetic field. The magnetization will develop in such a way that it will repel the magnetic field lines. But when you reach a critical value SC, when you reach the critical value SC, that is the magnetic field applied externally, so that your body will become normal. Okay, so it comes into the normal state. So suddenly it will happen at a critical magnetic field SC. Okay, it will happen in a critical magnetic field SC. So if the magnetic field applied below critical magnetic field at temperature T, below critical temperature Tc, so your body in superconducting body there will be a magnetization, but it is in opposite direction, so that it will repel from the body. The magnetic field lines will repel from the body. Okay, so it will withstand that up to the critical magnetic field SC, and at the critical magnetic field SC, your body will pass the magnetic field lines and it become a normal state. It comes into the normal state. It becomes a normal conductor. It comes into the normal state. Okay. So here this is a graph. As magnetic field we are increasing, magnetization this minus 4 pi it will goes on increasing up to critical magnetic field at temperature T, below critical temperature Tc. So suddenly it will come into the normal state, and magnetization it will be it becomes 0. Okay, so below this SC, your material it will be in a superconducting state, and above this SC, your material it will be in a normal state. Okay, so this graph it is between minus 4 pi and SC. You will see in this region your material is in superconducting state, and in this region it is your material in a normal state. So this one it distinguish the normal state and superconducting state. So if for a particular critical temperature SC, your material it will be in normal state, above which if the magnetic field above this SC, it will be perfectly in normal state, and below this it will be perfectly in superconducting state. Means below SC, no magnetic lines can pass through your body, above which magnetic lines pass through the body and it becomes a normal one. So below SC it is in perfectly superconducting state, above it is totally in normal state. So this type of superconductors are said to be a type 1 superconductor or soft superconductors. Okay, so this is actually expected by the Masonry effect. So this type of superconductor are said to be a type 1 superconductor or soft superconductor. And for this type 1 superconductor, SC is very small. Very small magnetic field is required to disturb the superconductivity. Okay, so SC is very small. So that these types of materials cannot be used in practical applications, because very small magnetic field can disturb the superconductivity. Another class of superconductors is type 2 superconductor. Okay, so now let us consider we are applying the magnetic field external magnetic field to the superconductor. So we have just switched on and it is increasing slowly. So your material is in superconductor below critical temperature Tc. Okay, so we are increasing magnetic field so that the magnetization it will develop in the body, in that superconducting body, and it will repel the magnetic field lines, so magnetic field lines will not pass through the body. Okay, magnetic field lines will not pass through the body. So this will again it will increase magnetic field. Magnetic field lines will again increase magnetic field. It will again repel the magnetic field lines. So magnetization in reverse direction it will increase. Okay, so it will continue up to a critical magnetic field SC1, up to critical magnetic field SC1. But after that, if you increase the magnetic field line, magnetic field, external magnetic field, if you increase the strength of the external magnetic field, it has seen that few magnetic lines can pass through the body. Few magnetic lines can pass through the body, but your material is in superconducting state. But material is in a superconducting state. So it will, if you increase the magnetic field, it will continue up to upper critical magnetic field Hc2. It will continue up to upper critical magnetic field Hc2. Okay, Hc2, at which the material will become totally normal. It will be a normal one. It become a normal one. So it will be in a normal state. Okay, so below Hc1 it will be completely in superconducting state, and above Hc2 it will be completely in normal state. Within the range of Hc1 and Hc2, within a range of Hc1 and Hc2, this material is this state is said to be a mixed state. This state is a mixed state. Okay. So it is also said to be a vortex state. Okay. According to Meissner effect, we expect the critical temperature Sc, above which the material should be in normal state, and below which it should be in superconducting state. But for this type of superconductor, it has two critical magnetic fields for a particular temperature, below critical temperature. So Sc1 is the critical magnetic field below which your material is completely in a superconducting state. Above Sc2 it is in a completely in normal state, and in the region Sc1 and Sc2 it is in mixed state, means you have superconducting electron as well as normal electrons. Okay, so it is a mixed state. It is a mixture of normal state and superconducting state. It is said to be a mixed state or vortex state. It's said to be a mixed state or vortex state. So in this case, the magnetic field lines, few magnetic lines can pass through the your superconducting body. Okay. So after so many experiments, it is observed that vortex means you will have this type of, if you have this type of superconducting slab, and if you apply magnetic field which is in a completely superconducting state, so the no magnetic field lines can pass through this body. So it may pass move out of the body. But as your body is in a vortex state or mixed state, so small loops of the magnetic field, the small regions through which the magnetic field line like this, the magnetic field lines can pass through. So there are small portion, this type of portions are created through which the magnetic field lines can pass through. So as magnetic field increases above Sc1, so many vortices are created, and the region in which there are normal, the region which is a normal state, it will goes on increasing, and finally above Sc2 your material will become normal one. The superconductivity is restricted. So these types of materials are said to be a type 2 superconductors or hard superconductors. So in this case, this Sc2 is very large as compared to Sc1. It is 100 or more than 100 times more than that of Sc1. So that's why these types of materials, these are generally these are the alloys. So these materials are used in the superconducting magnets used in different applications. Okay, so this is about type 1 and type 2 superconductors. So type 1 superconductors exhibits complete Mesner effect, and type 1 superconductor exhibits complete Mesner effect, and type 2 superconductor is not, it is not uh, experience, or it not even show a complete Mesner effect. Okay, so type 1 superconductor exhibit complete super Mesner effect, and type 2 superconductor are not showing complete Mesner effect. Okay, so there are two critical values, SC1 and SC2. Below SC1, it is in completely in superconducting state. Above SC2, it is completely in normal state. Within region SC1 and SC2, it is in mixed state, or also said to be vortex state. It is a mixture of normal state and superconducting state. Okay. Now let us see what will happen to the heat capacity of superconductors when the material is in superconducting state. So if you study the entropy of superconductors, so you know entropy is the measure of disorder. Entropy is a measure of disorder in the system. If entropy is less, you can say the system is order. If say entropy is more, you can say the system is disorder, or it is more disorder. Okay. So as you measure the entropy of the superconductor. So this is the entropy, the graph of entropy for aluminum in normal state and superconducting state are plotted here. This is a critical temperature Tc. So this line is corresponding to entropy of normal state of aluminum, and below this curve one, it is the entropy of superconducting state. So you will see in this case the entropy of the superconducting state is lower than the normal state. Okay, so entropy of a superconducting state is lower than the normal state. So from this one can conclude that the superconducting state is more ordered than normal state. Superconducting state is more ordered than normal state. Okay, so here we can say the superconductivity is more ordered than normal state, and but it is also observed that the change in entropy is very small. The change in entropy is very small. So for aluminum, the order of 10 raised to power minus 4. This the change in entropy is only of the order of 10 raised to power minus 4 k beta per atom. So the change in entropy is very k beta means it is a we can expect for one electron 1 k beta, but here it comes to be 10 raised to power minus 4 k beta per atom. So this small change in entropy, it means that very few number of electrons are taking part in the superconducting state. So not all electrons are taking part to make the material superconductor. Okay, so only, and it is the number of number of electrons of the order of 10 raised to power minus 4 are taking part of the participating in making the material superconducting. Okay, superconducting state. This is the free energy. So in normal state, free energy is larger than the superconducting state. This if you measure, this is the graph plotted for the gallium. This is CYT, this is specific heat, and this is it's plotted against temperature square. This plotted against temperature square. So you will see that there is discontinuity. Here is the as the temperature is decreased, here is the change in the heat capacity. And at Tc there is a discontinuity in the heat capacity, First it increases and then decreases very fastly. Okay, it decreases very fastly. So there is a discontinuity in the heat capacity at a critical temperature Tc. So if you plot the graph, this specific heat divided by gamma Tc upon Tc upon T, that's all it will, you will see it is a linear graph, means this is proportional to 1 upon T. So this we can say this is a log of Tc upon T. So you can see this specific is exponentially depends on 1 upon T. From this graph, we can say this is the variation. This is the variation for gallium, and the equation for variation of specific heat versus temperature for gallium is shown here. So we can say, see the specific heat is proportional to the exponential of minus 1 upon T. Exponential of minus 1 upon T. Means your specific heat varies exponentially with respect to temperature 1 upon T. 1 upon. So this is the observations about heat capacity of superconducting state. But from this one, we can, again the generally the variation it comes to be minus E upon k beta T. It comes to be minus E upon k beta T. Minus E upon k beta T. But in the case of the superconductor, the variation is seen to be the electronic heat capacity is seen to be minus E upon twice k beta T. Minus E twice k beta T. Okay. So now we shall see the energy gap, energy band gap of a superconductor. Okay. So in superconductor, it has been seen that there is a band gap. There is a band gap which separates normal electrons and superconducting electrons. Superconducting electrons are more ordered, normal electrons are not ordered. And so this band gap separates superconducting electron and normal electron. Superconducting electron and normal electron. So this band gap present in the case of superconductor is different. It is different than that of the insulating band gap or semiconductor band gap. So that goes one, it separates the bound electron from the bound electrons and conducting conduction electrons. Because that it is resulted because of electron and lattice interaction. In this case, also here two electrons are there is an attractive interaction between the electrons because of the lattice vibration or because of the lattice. Okay, and which separates the superconducting electron. In this case, band gap is separating superconducting electron from the normal electron. In this case, it is observed that the transition from normal state to superconducting state or vice versa, from superconducting state to normal state. So there is no involvement of the heat, or there is no involvement of the energy. So energy is not, it is either absorbed or emitted during the transition from this normal state to superconducting state or superconducting state to normal state. Means in the absence of magnetic field, means you are not applied external magnetic field, so your material is making a transition from normal state to superconducting state as you are lowering temperature or increasing temperature from superconducting state to normal state. So energy is not is neither absorbed nor released during this transition. So you can say this type of transition is second order phase transition. So phase is changing from superconducting phase to normal phase or normal to superconducting phase. But in this case, energy is not either absorbed or emitted. So this type of transition is said to be a second order phase transition. As you know, in the case of water, if you consider water, so as water is converting into vapor, what means liquid to gaseous phase. So some energy is absorbed, some energy absorbed. So the water molecule absorbs some energy, then it becomes a vapor. So liquid is converted into vapor. So liquid phase is converted into vapor phase. So in this transition, this water absorb energy. It absorbs energy. It is said to be latent. It is the amount of energy required to make a phase transition. It is said to be latent. So here is the latent heat is in this transition. So this type of transition is said to be a first order transition. It is said to be a first order transition. So in the case, again, if you consider ice to water transition, then again it is a first order phase transition. This energy is involved in this case, either it is absorbed or emitted during the transition from liquid to solid or solid to liquid. So this type of transition are said to be a first order transition. So in this case, latent heat, the amount of energy equals to latent heat is it is be that much of energy either it is absorbed or released. So the first order transition will be characterized by latent heat and by a discontinuity in the energy gap. Discontinuity in the energy gap. So means there is a energy gap between this one state and another state. But in the case of superconducting and normal state transition, latent heat is not involved. It is not either absorbed or emitted, release. It is not released. This is second order phase transition. So you can say in this case the band gap. It is not. It is not a discrete one. It is not a discontinuity in the band gap. So energy gap. So the slowly this gap is increases. It is changes. Okay, it is changes. So band gap, firstly, as it is in the normal, let us consider at a critical temperature, band gap is 0. Band gap is 0. So as your material become superconductor at temperature, critical temperature Tc. So at critical temperature, band gap is 0. As to lower down temperature, band gap starts to increase. Band gap goes on increasing as critical temperature. As the applied the temperature, we have lower down critical temperature. So as temperature is decreased below critical temperature, band gap increases. As you reach critical temperature, band gap is 0. So at critical temperature, band gap is 0. Okay. So this is this type of band gap is present in the superconducting state. Now we shall see the microwave and infrared properties. So here, if you consider band gap is not there, means energy will not be. If you consider the band gap is present, so we can say the photon of energy equals to the band gap energy can be absorbed. It can be absorbed. The photon of energy less than the band gap cannot be absorbed and pass through the that medium. So this can be helpful. So, but in a photon greater than band gap energy can be absorbed by the material. Okay. So we can detect this band gap, or we can check whether really the band gap is present in the case of the superconducting state or not by using microwave and infrared radiations. Okay. So so many people have worked on this one. There are so many experiments, and it is observed that. So actually, in case of metals, the electrons, the photons are reflected because of the impedance mismatch. But as your materials is in a superconducting state and it is a very thin film, then so many photons can pass through the that superconducting state. So it is observed that if your material is in superconducting state below critical temperature Tc, and if you apply, if you just increase the wavelength of the photons, the microwaves, so if you consider firstly the frequency is very small, or we consider it is zero, and now slowly we are increasing frequency. When so it is obvious that so many photons can transmit through the superconductor. But if you critical frequency it is reached, at which you will see very less number of photons are passing through photons are not passing through the superconductor. Okay, for a critical frequency, and above which no photons can pass through that superconductor. Okay, so see. Over here, if you have superconductor maintained at a temperature below critical temperature, and you are increasing the frequency, so many photons will pass through the your superconducting medium, and as particular frequency, the energy of that band gap matches the energy of that photon, then those photons will be absorbed. The photons having energy more than that band gap, it will be again absorbed. It will be again absorbed. It will be again absorbed. Okay, so in this case, you can see if the photons are have energy greater than the band gap, those are absorbed and they cannot be transmitted. The photons having energy less than band gap, they are not absorbed and transmitted. Okay, so you can say from this one, you can say that there is a presence of band gap in a superconductor. Okay, presence of band gap in a superconductor, and that band gap falls in a microwave and infrared region. Means band gap is very small because microwave and infrared photons have very small energies. Now, interesting thing is again, one thing is that as you have band gap or your superconductor is maintained at a temperature T, so then it will have a band gap. You are irradiating it with microwave with a frequency having a photon energy equals to or just greater than the band gap energy. Then it will seem that now if you lower the frequency slightly, still it is absorbing, means the photons are not transmitting. So see, it is interesting one thing. So before that one, photons are not transmitted, but as you increase the energy or the frequency of the photon, it is absorbed by that medium. And now if you decrease the frequency, still it will absorb. So photons are not transmitted. So from this one, you can say the absorption of photon, it reduces the band gap, so that low energy photons can also be absorbed. Okay, so what really happened now? See in this case, so your band gap, you have band gap, and in the it is absorbing energy. It is you are in superconducting state. You have band gap which separates superconducting electrons and normal electrons. So you are irradiating microwave or infrared photons. So if this superconducting electron absorb the radiations, so it will convert into the normal state normal electrons, so that this band gap will reduce. So band gap it will depends on the concentration of superconducting electron. So as more photons are inciding, more superconducting electrons will convert into the normal electrons. So the band gap is reduced. Now if you reduce the frequency, this will reduce the energy of the photon, still it can be absorbed. Okay, so this thing, this is the interesting thing about the band gap of superconducting state. So superconducting state means band gap is not it is not constant. It will be constant for a particular temperature. But if you irradiate with the photons, so band gap it will change as the concentration of superconducting electron changes. Okay, so in this way, the band gap it is depends on the concentration of superconducting electrons. So at a critical temperature, band gap will be 0, and as temperature is lower down, number of superconducting electron it will go on increasing. So the band gap it will goes on increasing. Now another one interesting or it is important effect or people have studied, it is the isotope effect. Isotope effect. So it is observed that as the isotopic mass of a same element it changes. So it is observed that critical temperature for same element also changes. So for example, if you consider mercury, for mercury, if you consider the atomic mass, it varies from 199.5 to 203.4 atomic mass units. It varies from 199.5 to 203.4 atomic mass units. So in that case, you will see the critical temperature Tc varies from 4.185 Kelvin to 4.146 Kelvin. This as the atomic mass increases, here the critical temperature decreases. So means if higher atomic isotope has a higher atomic mass, then it becomes superconductor at a lower temperature. So from this one you can see, say that the mass of the isotope plays a role in deciding the superconductivity of the material or the critical temperature of that element. Okay, so if the isotope has a light mass, then it will become a superconductor somewhat at a higher critical temperature. If your material has your element has a higher lower atomic mass, then it will become a superconductor at somewhat higher temperature. So high atomic mass, then it becomes superconductor at lower critical temperature, and low atomic mass, then it becomes a superconductor at a higher temperature. Okay, so this is the isotope effect on this one. So if you see the numerical data, the experimental data, so many experiments performed by the scientists, so one can fit that results into the simple formula m raised to power alpha into Tc is equals to constant. So people have observed that m alpha Tc is equals to constant. M raised to power alpha Tc is equals to constant. M is the atomic mass of that particular element, alpha is constant, and Tc is the critical temperature. This product is always constant. So the experimental values are shown here, or the experimental values of alpha are shown here. So for zinc, cadmium, zinc it is 0.45 plus or minus 0.05, and certainly it is equals to 1 by 2. CD is equals to 0.32, it is around 0.4. Sn it is 0.47, means it is approximately 1 by 2. Hg is again 0.5, it is 1 by 2. Pb is 0.49, it is again 1 by 2. So this alpha, it is experimentally you can say that alpha is equals to 1 by 2. But it is not always the case. For other materials, it may have different values. For example, rubidium, it is very small. It is almost 0. For it is 0.15. Molybdenum, it is 0.33. Zirconium, it is again 0. Okay, and this BCS theory also give the results that Tc is proportional to theta d. Theta d is the debate temperature, which is proportional to m raised to power minus alpha, and alpha is equals to 1 by 2. But if you consider the Coulombian interaction between the electrons, then the value of alpha changes. So alpha it is not necessarily to be 1/2, but in so many cases it comes to be 1/2. But sure, it is sure that the elemental mass plays a role in deciding critical temperature. So isotope effect, it is a very important effect people have studied about the critical temperature, variation of critical temperature with isotopic mass. Because from this one, from this field, Barney, Cooper and Super have designed their theories by considering the lattice vibrations are playing role in the attractive interaction between electrons. Attractive interaction between electrons. Okay, so this is about isotopic effect.
Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable talk on superconductivity. Now I request to Dr. A.V. Kode for vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all. Myself, Dr. A.V. Kode, and I am here to present vote of thanks. First of all, I am very much thankful to Honorable Mr. Harshvardhanji Deshmukh, President of Sri Shivaji Education Society Amravati, for his motivation and blessings. I am thankful to Dr. G.R. Tadas, Principal of our college, for his guidance and support. I am also thankful to Speaker Dr. G.G. Mude, Head Postgraduate Teaching Department of Physics, Sant Gadge Baba Amravati University, Amravati, for his valuable lecture on topic superconductivity. I am also thankful to Mr. G.B. Harde, Head Department of Physics, Mr. N.D. Kodekar, Mr. B.T. Kumbhare, and Dr. S.P. Bakde from Department of Physics for their constant efforts toward the success of this webinar. I am very much thankful to all the participants and students for their wholehearted participation in webinar. Last but not least, I am also thankful to all those who helped directly or indirectly for the success of this webinar. Thank you one and all. With the permission of chair, I declare that today's webinar is over.